With the exact opposite. Welcome everybody to the stage, Mr. Kenneth Saroka.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. The pursuit of happiness? Your pursuit of happiness in life is going to be blockaded many times by people who are complete idiots, fools, and people incompetent, who are so incompetent. And they work with you, they work for you, they work above you. And it's going to be hard because we don't necessarily deal with foolish, idiotic, incompetent people very well. So the point here is to figure out, how did this incompetence come about? How do they operate? Where do we go with them? How do we deal with them? And most importantly, make sure that you are not going to become the next upper class twit of the year, and you become the subject of my TED Talk 20 years from now, okay? So let's take a look first, though, at my personal qualifications to speak on this. I am not going to talk about my experiences here for 21 years at East Brunswick High School. I'm going to focus on my past life, which was for 10 years, working as a retail and fast food manager. Yeah, that's right. I worked as a Burger King and Taco Bell and Little Caesars pizza manager for 5 years, and then worked for 5 years for a video store rental chain that at the time was bigger than Blockbuster. But that's where I got the experiences in the private sector. Now, a lot of teachers, they come right out of college, and they're right in here as a teacher. I spent, again, 10 years doing this. So I have the experience to deal with these incompetent people and some stories to tell you. Now, first off, there is no genetic disorder here. We can't find a mutant X gene that says that people are going to be incompetent. It just doesn't happen, okay? Sorry. Is it learned through your family? Is it one of those kind of traits that if you sit around long enough, you pick it up? Well, possibly. But in the case of Chris Farley's character in Tommy Boy, his idiocy was caused by his ignorance of the family business, not incompetence in running it. And when push came to shove, he actually did a good job at the end of the story. However, let's talk about your college experience, because here's where you may learn some of these bad habits. Let's take a look at your course requirement list. Do you know that you're going to spend about half of your undergraduate experience taking classes that have absolutely nothing to do with your major? Absolutely nothing. Many of which are repeats of high school classes. And even when you look at the major requirements, they've already got them scripted out for you in sequence, so that you really don't have any choice here. You're being programmed by that college. And unfortunately, as I said, instead of spending time doing stuff that would help you in your job experiences, you're not getting that. All right. So now you're out in the real world, and you'll have to come up against something called the Peter Principle. Professor Lawrence Peter in 1969 published a book that set the business world kind of on its edge, because it really shamed them. And if you look at that right there, I mean, it kind of sounds like a hypothesis or a theorem or a thesis statement. But you get promoted in the private sector up to a point where your incompetence is going to be exposed, and you will be fired. Now, how does that work? Look at this kind of progression here. You're going to be along this kind of job path, and hopefully you're doing a good job, you're learning this job, and all of a sudden, boom, stop. Your district manager or regional boss is going to come by and say, you deserve a promotion. This is America. We promote, and we want you to be ambitious and rise up the company ladder. All right, so now you're here. None of the things you learned here are really applicable here, but you fake it well enough so that you continue until somebody else promotes you again and again and again, until you reach the point of abject failure. Okay, but that is the American way. The American way says ambition. American way says promotion. We want to be there. I mean, the minute you dust off your resume, you type in the new job, you're out looking for another job perhaps, or you're looking to move up in the company chain through this hierarchy that's confusing. That's the American way. If you don't, if you're the kind of person that, no thanks, I'm happy where I am, people will look at you very funny. You can't be trusted. Why? You're not an American. You're what, capitalism? Like you don't want a promotion? The people I worked with in fast food, there were some good people who could manage one store, and they didn't want to manage 10. There is nothing that says if you manage one Burger King, you can be able to manage 10. Different set of circumstances, different set of rules. And those people were really good. Because if I'm the district manager and I have one of those people in that store, I don't have to worry about that person screwing up, trying to hop the corporate ladder too early. So I leave them alone. Now that again goes against America. So let's take a look at Japan. Japan, if you get a job, the classic story is you get a job at a Japanese company, you got it for life. You're there for 40 years plus. And as long as you don't seriously screw up, they're going to keep promoting you, or they're going to keep working with you. They'll train you, they'll retrain you. But in Japan, you may be in that entry-level position for about 10, 15 years before you even sniff a promotion. And again, that goes completely against American. Oh, no. 2 years, I want to be promotion. I want to be regional boss by third year. No, not happening in Japan. Take your time. And in Japan, if you quit a job, it looks badly on you, as if you did something wrong. You're the incompetent one, not the company, because the company was honorable toward you, but you're not toward them. So that brings up the idea of the outside hire, somebody changing companies. Now again, does the manager who runs a Burger King, do they have the experience and the tools to run a Chipotle? Or a district manager in Burger King, could they run a Chipotle district? Could they run a TGI Fridays district? This is the kind of change. When you want to go fast food manager to Chipotle to full service, that's the kind of progression, right? I had that case when I was working at Taco Bell. I was in Northeast Philadelphia. Our store was open until 4 in the morning on Fridays and Saturday nights. Why? Because behind my store was a movie theater that showed movies at midnight. And they were showing constantly the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I don't think anybody here really knows that movie. Google it, rent it, Netflix it. It was a cult movie that would play at this theater for 14 years. Every Saturday, Friday night, people would come dressed as the characters. They would sing, they would act out the lines in the movie. And then at 2 o'clock when the movie let out, they would show up in my restaurant, eat about $100 worth of food, and make a complete mess out of things. So one Saturday night, my district manager, who was hired in from another chain, because Taco Bell was growing at that time and didn't have enough in-house people to do it, he comes in and visits me at about 8 o'clock at night, which is very unusual on a Saturday night. And he looks behind my counter, and I have a baseball bat. Did somebody lose that? No, it's mine. What are you doing with a baseball bat? I got to keep law and order in here somehow, so I take it out, and if I need to whack somebody, I'm going to whack somebody. He's like, you're serious, aren't you? Do I look like I'm joking? Well, no, you can't do that. You can't be beaten. You got to call the police. No. They get out of line. You know the Rocky Horror Picture Show? No, I've never seen that movie. Go see that movie. And then come back at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have that little discussion. And you give him the look like I'm serious. I'm going to take somebody out tonight with this baseball bat. He never showed up at my restaurant again. Never did. Okay. So let's think about some other kind of incompetent situations here. C. Northcote Parkinson is writing a book in the 1950s that is about the ineptness of the British government, but he takes time to kind of give you some side stories here. And here's the point. Why does it take Grandma all day to organize her sock drawer? Because she has the time to organize her sock drawer all day. So here's the boss. He comes to you, and he says, I need you to work on this project. And you look at it and go, I could probably get this done in a couple of hours, boss. You're not 100% sure. So if it comes to 2 hours and the boss shows back up looking for that, I'm sorry, I'm not quite done yet, then you look like the incompetent one. But the slyly incompetent one, the one who knows he or she is incompetent, will tell the boss, wow, this is really hard. I could probably get it done by the end of the day, but I'll work on it right now. I'll get it at the end of the day. The job takes 2 hours. But because the boss says, well, okay, you have all 8 hours to do it. It's about 7.5 hours later, the boss shows up. Oh, yeah, I got it done. Wow, you're a good employee. You actually got the job done ahead of time. And you're like, what? What? Because you tried to do it in 2 hours, and the incompetent person realized that if I stretch out the day, boom, I can do it. Oh, that's just a note. Please overestimate your time constraints by a factor of 4 going forward. Would help. Okay. Okay. So something comes up, and what do I do? Okay, keep calm and cover. You feign ignorance. I didn't know. I didn't get the memo. I didn't know. Email. It's in the spam folder. You blame other people for their mistakes. You blame the people below you, the people around you. And now you're acting like the incompetent one. And you're like, oh my God, just did what you're supposed to. But you panicked. So before you redo your resume, we got some points that we got to go over here. We got to kind of get you ready for this. So we got to do this. So let's do a little self-medication here. Let's make sure that we're prepared. First of all, in college, if you are attempting, and this is in all seriousness, if you are attempting to find your GPA and your blood alcohol level meeting somewhere, you're in big trouble. Okay? Mommy and Daddy don't want to write a $50,000 check to some small private college just to see you passed out on the bathroom floor, okay? Secondly, you're gonna have to really seriously get to know your profs. Know them, know who is the ones who've got the access to programs, honors programs, graduate programs. Get to know those people specifically who can provide you with internships. Because one of the things you will find that going forward in life, it is not going to be what you know, but what you have done. Experience is more important today than credentials, than education. So find those programs, work that room, as it were, with your professors. That means you're gonna have to spend a little more time invested in your education. So that's the college end of things. Now, job interviews. You're also interviewing them. You have to ask good questions and not just salary, benefits, and number of days paid holiday, kind of deal. You've got to figure out whether or not you want to work for this company. You've got to pick their brains. You've got to put them on the defensive. Because if that district manager, regional manager, human resources director who's interviewing you is a complete incompetent idiot, I don't think you want to work for that company. But you can find that out in your interview. So take any interview you can. Even if you have no idea, no clue that you're going to work at that place, learn the process of interviewing. Learn your job. When you get that job, learn it. Spend the extra time and effort to learn it. I was part, in the fast food life, I was part of a crew of managers, usually that would be sent into a bad store to clean it up. And I didn't get any training for this. The training you're going to get is going to be pitiful. But I learn on the job. I walk in and I see, wow, the inventories are all messed up. This is why this store looks like it's losing so much money. And then I realize when you punch the button that says Whopper, it takes out 2 fish patties from inventory. Doesn't take out a Whopper patty. And puts 5 ounces of mayonnaise on the Whopper instead of like 1. I'm like, oh, okay, let me push fish patty. And here comes up a milkshake. All right. Tear the computer apart, rip it apart, reprogram everything, and within 1 month, I had a bonus check for improving the efficiency of the store that was equal or greater than or equal to one of my paychecks. I learned the job, on the job. No formal training here. Learn it, do it. Learn your boss's job too. Okay, one of the things about promotions, if you get that chance to go up, you better know that job. You better know everything, the mannerisms, the style, the attitudes, because what you learn here is not going to be necessarily useful here on that Peter Principle chart. And lastly, you're going to have to smile, folks, honestly, because incompetence is everywhere. Zombie apocalypse is coming.